What's the scariest thing you've ever stood face to face with? I was snorkeling in a lake in Australia that connected to the sea. There was a protected fish sanctuary along the part of the shore I swam near, so I decided to go take a look. It was fantastic. Lots of fish, a few turtles, and just a lot of wildlife in general. I was having a blast looking at all the fishies when they all just completely bolted and suddenly there was no wildlife I could see. I turned around to find a big ass shark staring at me from about 10 meters away. I was so scared that I instantly started to back up. Luckily I wasn't too far out from shore and I was able to make it back safely. From what I could see from shore, it hung around for about 5 minutes before I wasn't able to see it anymore, but I didn't ever go swimming there again out of pure fear. Nope, 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 nope. I was out swimming in the open ocean during a boat trip. Out of nowhere this giant beeping whale swims right under me. Whales aren't scary, but it was so big and so close that I was just paralyzed. I really don't know what it was that made it so absolutely horrifying, but it just was. Probably the knowledge that it could crush you to death. Even accidentally. In a split second. A bison. I had just parked my car in the lot for the Old Faithful Inn and gotten out. I turned to see where my so was. And saw a full-grown bison maybe 6 feet away standing in the grass, doing giant buffalo things. I took a quick selfie from behind my car and noped it towards the hotel before you could say Tatanka. I was looking to copy a bunch of data for a boss moving to a new PC and found Napster folders that I looked at the data inside to see if it was even used or just a few gigs, and it was all child porn. I called 911 and they sent a person on site right away for the arrest of my boss, but we also had to get the FBI involved. The FBI had to make sure that I didn't plant that data on that computer also. That I didn't make any copies. It was like speeping my pants non-stop for months. I literally bumped into MMA fighter Keith the Dean of Mean Jardine in a CD store in Sydney. We stared at each other, but I wouldn't say it was face to face. More like face to sternum. The guy is huge. Mind you, after giving the first impression that he was scary, he was actually pretty nice. He smiled at me, apologized, told me he had flown in from the US just that morning, so was pretty jet-lagged and not paying as kick attention to where he was going as he should, and walked away after apologizing again. When I was 19, I was with my friends at my pub of choice for drinks. Pool. Open night, and about an hour into our session a bikie gang entered the pub. We tried to stay in our corner at one of the 2 pool tables and we were actually left well enough alone. Eventually I went to the bar for a pint. The publican served me and the barmaid was serving the tallest, broadest biker I have ever seen. I felt him shift from foot to foot through the damn boards under my feet. He was immense. In Australia, we had an ad on TV featuring our national rugby team all answering, "How many Weet-Bix do you eat for breakfast?" All the squad did was look at the camera and say the number. 5, 7, 6, 4, 8, etc. So this biker was big enough that he could have eaten 4 rugby players for breakfast. We both go to turn away from the bar but turn into each other. Our glasses clink together. My beer kinda rocks from side to side and a single dribble spills over its lip and onto my hand. The mountain that rides drink spilled out and down over his boots. I looked up at my death. He rolled his eyes and did this swirly thing with his finger. I looked up. Knees wobbling. Lip quivering. Expecting to die. He sighed. Did the swirly thing again and I continued to shake like a leaf. He rolls his eyes again. With his free hand, he reaches forward and gently takes my full drink out of my hand and he hands his half-empty drink to me. He smiles. Leans down. pats me on the shoulder and says we're all good now, mate. Don't worry about it. Have a great night. And left me to nearly faint. My stalker and rapist. Many years ago I was raped by an acquaintance who then proceeded to not leave me alone. He eventually attacked me outside of my apartment. I still have a scar on my left arm from that night. Nothing has ever stopped my heart like seeing a shadow materialize into him holding a knife as I was half walking half jogging across the grass to my apartment. On the plus side, I have had nerves of steel for the last decade. It's not a story I usually tell, so people normally just think I'm unusually fearless. An elk. My GF and I set up camp and took a day hike. On the way back to camp we came into a clearing. And there I think she was walking towards us. She walked next to us for a bit. The path was lower than where she was by a foot or two. 5 meters, so my head, I am 6'2", 2 meters tall, was about even with or below her back. Honestly, I was trying my best not to look at her and stay looking straight ahead. There was some bushes up ahead that the trail lead between. It would naturally block her parallel path and let us keep going. She easily could have trampled us if she got the urge. Something about the whole experience made me think there was motherhood involved. But I have no real evidence of that. She just escorted us off her land. Scary and wonderful all at the same time. The sight of a huge pickup truck barreling towards our car on a highway. Seeing it and knowing impact was coming. Waiting. Bracing. I thought I was dead and was so scared that I was going to die with people who I felt didn't love me. Impact. Everything, then just silence. I'm not sure if there was truly silence or if my adrenaline was coursing through at that point. I don't remember much after that, truthfully. I live in Australia. Where would you like me to start? 1. Coming face to face with a rather large shark whilst swimming. 2. Nearly standing on a massive brown snake whilst camping in the middle of Western Australia. 3. Encountering a wild bull whistled camping, he was not a happy chappa. 4. Having a huntsman spider fall out of the room whilst teaching and land on my head. Think roughly the size of a human head across there, not little buggers. Hands down, though, scariest thing I've ever stood face to face with was the fetal heartbeat monitor whilst pregnant and watching my baby go into distress whilst in labor. Just a few days ago. A box jellyfish. I'm in far north Queensland. And it's near the end of stinger season. I've always refused to swim in the sea here when we visit my partner's hometown, even in a stinger suit or within the stinger nets they put up as swimming areas. But sometimes I will put my feet right at the edge. And it's so near the end of the season. I thought it would be pretty unlikely to encounter any jellyfish right in the shallows. So thought I'd go in just a little further. Was going to go slightly deeper. Like barely calf deep at most. Just before I walked out, I saw it swim right past. If I'd stepped out a few seconds earlier, I would have been right in its path. It doesn't sound like much. They're pretty small and unexciting looking. It probably sounds pretty pathetic. But they can be deadly. Like at best, I'm in a world of pain. At worst, I'm dead within a couple of minutes. I'm also pregnant. And my 3-year was playing right near me on the water line. I was awake in the middle of the night after that. It probably sounds dumb. But it really freaked me out how bad it could have been. One morning I let my black lab outside like I do every day when I open the door. He let out a loud growl/bark and took off. The front porch has 2 sets of steps going off each side, so when I looked up, I see a huge black bear lunging at my dog. The contrast in colors between the white teeth and black mouth is something I'll never forget. I think my dog figured out he screwed up, turned on the jets to get away, but not before the bear's mouth connected with his side, pushing him against the wall of the house. Thankfully my dog just squeaked by. After seeing this I yelled and charged the bear that was no more than 15 feet away. Next thing I know is that I'm now on the side of the house with the bear just on the inside of the tree line about 30 feet away, walking back and forth, pawing at the ground and huffing. I was screaming at the top of my lungs that I was going to kill it if it attacked my dog. It was like a standoff, but I wasn't going back inside until I knew my dog was safe, so I picked up a plastic bird bath and slammed it on the ground. The bear must have thought I was crazy, so it backed off into the woods. I found my dog and took him inside, where I noticed he had what at first I thought was blood, but must have been stinky bear spit on his side. Beside the teeth, I'll never forget just how wide their shoulders are and how easily it could have ripped me to shreds, even though I'm a fairly large male.